and three others the next, including Arizona. Jake Fischer, former Arizona linebacker, joins us on 365 Sports with Paul Craig, and I'm David Smoak. Jake, thank you very much for your time. So what was your reaction when you saw maybe the momentum was Arizona, President Robbins in Arizona would be joining the Big 12?
Well, we're just very fortunate that we have a very sports-driven president. You know, obviously it means a lot to him. He wasn't just going to jump. He was going to go ahead and weigh his options, kind of give Pac-12 the benefit of the doubt to bring some numbers to the table. They were not as good as what the Big 12 can offer, and I'm happy that we got out of there. I think that I thought this was the next move, especially, back when I was, I believe, a junior, when all the rumblings were going around that some of the Big 12 was actually going to come over to the Pac-12 or to the Pac-10 at the time. We were really excited because obviously it was going to bring in more revenue. It was going to help the players. It was going to help retain good coaches, things of that nature. And, I just think that President Robbins really put us in a good situation here, especially for the foreseeable future. The Pac-12 was just kind of a sinking ship. Everyone knew that for quite some time. And, we got out while we still could.
What do you think about the opportunities for them as a football team to win that conference? It's been a long time since Arizona has been in contention for the Pac-12 title, but coming over to the Big 12, this is essentially, even though there are some remaining teams, obviously, it's a completely brand new league, really all the way around, starting in 2024. What do you think about those prospects for them to win some conference titles regularly in football?
Well, I think it's going to be a little easier to do it in the Big 12 because you don't have the Texas or the Oklahomas there. And we're not in a conference with Oregon and USC anymore. So I think it's going to be a little bit more wide open. Obviously, Oklahoma State and Kansas State are awesome. Baylor is going to be awesome. I think Houston could be a sleeping giant down there. And so it's going to be fun to see kind of how we're doing because our trajectory as a football program is, at an all-time high right now. I mean, we just got our very first 5-star ever commit, right? And this coaching staff, they grind. And then once again, because we're going to be getting a little bit more money, I think we'll be able to retain Coach Jed Fish for at least a few more years. But he's going to be a hot product out there as well as if we continue to, on this ascension here. So I think it's also going to open up Texas a lot more for the U of A. Back when, I got recruited by the Stoops brothers, and they were huge in the state of Texas. Now, we aren't as big in the state of Texas, and I think, going to the Big 12, I think it can open doors for us again.
Jake, when did it kind of seem to become reality for you, this move, the death, although not quite dead yet, of the Pac-12, but as we sort of knew it is. But, rumors for a long time, speculation, various reports have been out there for well over a year now at this point. But when did you start to go like, oh, man, like there really could be something to this?
Well, I've been following Jason Shearer and Mike Luke, and those guys seem to have gotten pretty much everything right. So, I follow them. Obviously, they have some insiders that, kind of give them the information before anyone else gets it. And, there were a lot of people throwing smoke out on Twitter, and, I'd go to their page right away, and if they said that this person doesn't know what the hell they're talking about, I just wouldn't listen. So, I think the fact that, there was smoke last week, I thought that we were actually going to jump quicker. And, when the commissioner's basically dragging his feet, he doesn't want to show what the numbers are, that kind of gives you a little bit of, I guess it gives you some information that he didn't really think that the deal was that good. So I'm just glad that they finally saw the numbers. They were able to make a decision based on what was going to be better for us long term.
We read a quote earlier from some of the coaches who are going to be leaving to head to the Big 12, and even Washington and or what's going on with Oregon and what it means recruiting-wise. You mentioned Texas, and that was what Fish said, Oklahoma, Texas, and much more. And is that something that you think allows them then to take the momentum he's had, the 5-star player, and get better?
Yeah, of course. And once again, I know all of this, eventually comes down to money. We needed the money to go ahead and be able to retain our football coaches because he's going to be, a hot product out there on the market if we continue to do what we're doing. My biggest thing is Texas, especially when the Stoops brothers were there, we were getting, we were beating out some big time programs for some of these products in the state of Texas. So I think as long as we can continue to build the brand, as long as we continue, the momentum that we currently have going, I don't think it's out of the realm to continue to beat out some of these really big programs for some top, Texas kids. I don't know. That's the hope.
One of the things that I learned last week, and I lived in Tempe, but I was like 8, 9, 10, 11. My dad was at Luke Air Force Base. He got his master's at the other place, by the way, in the Arizona area. But I did not, and I guess I always knew it was a rivalry. You hear about Utah, Brigham Young, or Oregon State and Oregon. You hear about these Auburn, Alabama, Texas OU, but I never realized how intense Arizona and Arizona State rivalry really was.
Well, you go back in the 80s, 90s when, at least one of the teams was religiously in the top 15. It meant a lot more. I think if both programs can get back to where, they have been, then the rivalry will get put that on the map. I mean, when you have Alabama and Auburn, that 5-year period where I think 4 out of the 5 national championships came between those two schools. You had some Heisman players. You had, a number 1 overall draft pick. I mean, that's why, folks gravitate towards that as kind of the main, rivalry in college football. So as long as we continue to do what we're doing, I think actually Dillingham, is actually good for ASU over there as well. He's young, he's full of energy. He's probably going to have some big time recruiting wins, out on the recruiting trail as well. And, if we can both get back into the top 10, 15, on an annual basis, I think it'll kind of, it'll be on TV and, we don't have to stream it. So it's going to be more, nationally relevant.
Jake, what do you think has been the biggest obstacle to Arizona football being better than it has been?
Well, I'm going to go ahead and say that, the Stoops brothers, after my freshman year there, they lost 2 or 3 of their best recruiters, and they had to kind of reload there. So there was a little bit of lull of talent, towards the middle of my career. And then we had the new coaching staff come in after Stoops got fired. And, they were awesome coaches, but they weren't like the big recruiters like Jed Fish is. And then we had the Sumlin era, which we're just going to go ahead and forget about, altogether, because it was almost like they didn't want to recruit anybody and they didn't want to coach anybody up, it seemed like. But then, young, hungry coach comes in, Jed Fish. I'd never heard of the guy. I was kind of upset when they first hired him because a lot of us, we wanted an Arizona guy. But the way he put together the staff, just his leadership and his ability to kind of take us through these transitions and go from, his first year where we only had 1 win against a team who's, didn't even have half of their team available because of COVID, to year 2 winning 5 games, taking down a top 10 nationally ranked UCLA team at UCLA. It's just the trajectory is going to continue going up, and I'm just super excited.
Did you follow along? You mentioned Robbins and understands athletics and where he is in the decision making. Did you follow along a little bit with Arizona State? Seemed to be, and I know that's a rival, but that they really were trying to hold on for their dear lives, trying to keep the thing together. But it almost is this, they aren't. It seems like based on Crow, Ray Anderson, that they're still not real thrilled about this.
No, and the thing is, like, the thing he said in the in his presser the other day, where he was talking about, I'm not going to Morgantown and stuff like that. There's a huge PR problem when it comes to a lot of these folks that are at the top of these schools in the Pac-12. They just think that they're better than everybody else. I mean, it's ridiculous. That's why I'm happy that we have Robbins, because he actually cares about it. And he's not going to say dumb stuff like that. ASU didn't want to leave. That's fine. To be 100% honest with you guys, I would not have cared if, ASU stayed in the Pac now 4 or whatever it is. So we got the better end of the deal. I think we were a little bit more pumped to get out of there, get out of that current situation. We're going to obviously be bringing in more revenue, and it just helps with the brand recognition all around.
You gave us your time. I do notice that you're an owner-operator of Arizona Health Insider. How did you get into that business?
Well, actually, I was a financial planner prior to this. And then as soon as COVID hit, people started making runs at their money in their retirement. I saw that, I had to figure something else out. My wife was doing health insurance, and I started doing that full time. We built the business, and now we have folks that are working with us. We have over 1,000 clients. We're doing pretty well for ourselves, so we're not going to complain.
Thank you, man. Appreciate your time, Jake. Thank you for your time today. At Jake Gives Advice is his name on Twitter. Former Arizona linebacker. Mentioned the Stoops family quite a bit. Tried to Forget about the Sumlin era at Arizona, but